Welcome, everybody. My name is Eric Bronson, the Dean of the School of Justice Studies. Also wanted to welcome Assistant Dean Dave Lambert. He's on as well. He'll be jumping in here as we go along. Dave, if you want to say something.
Hi, good afternoon. Happy Sunday.
All right, so this is normally when we run this, normally I welcome you to Roger Williams, and we get to have a quick chat about our beautiful university, but obviously we can't do that in person. But you can see from this wonderful picture here how glorious it is, and it really is a beautiful campus, even year round when most of New England is gray and nasty and ugly. This is just a gorgeous place. It's a great place to be at, and we love, all of us, we love working there. It really is fantastic. But being near that water is a real, it really is one of those things that kind of clears your mind and helps you be at peace. And so even right now, when we're socially isolated, we can go look at the water. It's fantastic. But let's get into this. I got some slides I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through them pretty quickly so that you guys can just get a general understanding about what we have in justice studies. And if there's any questions, please don't hesitate to ask them. If there's something that pertains to what's going on, on that slide, definitely let me know if you have a question. Okay. Just some general information that I have relating to what goes on at the university that every student has to complete here. And this is part of what's called the university core curriculum. All right. Every student has to take 5 core courses. As you can see, the social science, history, literature, and philosophy, an aesthetics and art class, and also a science class. That science class has a lab to it, lab component. So everybody has to do those, except for our forensic science students that are on here. They get to skip out on that science because, as you're about to see, they get plenty of lab sciences within their own major. The other thing, the 6th course that they have to add on here is a senior core seminar. And these core seminars are a variety of topics. I just grabbed a few of the titles from the last year that were offered, and you can see there's a wide range of what these topics are. Recently, I know there was one about animals in society, so there really is a different range. So you'll be able to find something senior year about what really interests you, even if it's not within a specific discipline. It could be anything at all that you want to venture into. Some other university requirements: everybody has to take a writing course and then a math course. All right. In addition to your major and these courses that I just talked about, you also have to complete what's called a core concentration. That can be replaced by making it a minor, or if you do another major. All right. So typically what will happen is, let's say somebody picks criminal justice. They will then pick a core concentration or a minor in something in the liberal arts. So it could be history or writing, psychology, sociology. Any of those work within this. And what we find out is that most students, rather than just completing the 5 courses for the core concentration, end up taking one more course and making it a minor. All right, which is just, all you have to do is get that 6th course. Okay. Now, in terms of what we offer in justice studies, the different majors that we have that you are here most likely wanting to hear about is these 4 right here: the criminal justice, legal studies, forensic science, cybersecurity, and networking. And then we have a 5th major that's kind of unique, that really we tend not to recruit freshmen into. So it's more of almost an honors program for students that are looking to combine cybersecurity and criminal justice, or cybersecurity and legal studies, and it's kind of tailor-made to the student. But that's something that people get into maybe their sophomore year. So we really don't recruit freshmen to it. Right? We also have, in addition to these undergraduate programs, we have some graduate programs: criminal justice, cybersecurity, public administration, leadership. So in those in those areas within justice studies, you can obtain your a master's degree in those areas. So just so that you can kind of understand about the field that you're looking to go into, the job outlook for all of these is something that's very positive. And this is according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and demographers who specialize in forecasting for labor or jobs looking forward for the next 20 years. Both law enforcement and corrections, and just in case you're not familiar with what corrections is dealing with, that's prison, jail, and probation and parole officers. So people who work in those fields fall under the realm of corrections. But those are both considered to have consistent growth over the next 20 years. There will be this massive, what's called gray wave for both of them. And that is what we see a lot of folks that work in these fields are already in their 50s and maybe their 60s, and they're going to be retiring. The federal system, when we look at the federal system, they have mandated that if you work in federal law enforcement or federal corrections, that you must retire at the age of 57. All right, so there are plenty of people within that federal system that have to retire within the next few years, which just means there's going to be plenty of job openings for you when you graduate. Right? In the law field, there's supposed to have more consistent growth. And then the next two, where we have forensic scientists and cybersecurity, those are expected to have larger than consistent growth, with cybersecurity having this falling into this category of what's considered highest growth. All right. The forensic science, much of this is because as we start to learn new technologies and ways to assist the justice system, there seems to be more and more of them, those jobs opening up. There's more labs opening up, plenty of jobs in that field. All right. And when it comes to cybersecurity, we all know, I mean, just look at what we're doing right now. Everything's moving towards computers. We might have heard that there are folks out there that are what are called Zoom bombing meetings. And so while we're on Zoom, we got to watch out for those people hacking into our meeting and bombing our meeting. But the cybersecurity folks out there not only are trying to fight against that, but they're fighting against much bigger threats, where we have companies or countries trying to hack into some of our larger corporations to get data on people, or into our government to get data on us, or to just mess with our system. And that's what these folks are really doing. So if we're looking at the criminal justice major here, the required courses, as you can see, there seems to be a fair amount of them. When we get to cyber, you're going to see this isn't a whole very long list, but it runs the standard intro to criminal justice, and then the three main areas of police, courts, and correction. We tend to have a little bit more in the law field, specifically because we are influenced by the presence of having the top law school in all of Rhode Island. Don't mention that it's the only law school in Rhode Island, but it is the #1 law school in Rhode Island. All right, but because we have that law school here, it is a real benefit for students in many ways. We have guest speakers that come to the university. As I just mentioned, we have a lot more to offer in terms of law classes. There are, you'll see that when I get to the end and discuss some of the faculty, that there are plenty of faculty that have their law degree along with a PhD. So all of that combined really equals a fantastic opportunity for any of you that want to go into law school or are looking to do an internship in somewhere in the courts or the legal system in some way. All right. And then here's a variety of our courses that are elective for criminal justice, but there are several of these that are legal studies students take and our forensic science students that they take as electives to help out complete the requirements for the degree program. And again, so if you look at, there are those that are more along the lines of law enforcement, then there are some that are much more in tune with demographics relating to criminal trends, such as having juvenile justice or women in the criminal justice system. All right, you can see some law classes, and then there's the community-based correction. So again, looking at probation or parole in our system. If you look at the bottom right, you can see that there's terrorism and securing the homeland, which are becoming much more popular since 9/11. All right, and we're seeing that those areas of study become much more common across the country. One of the things I wanted to mention real quickly, we have in the criminal justice program a 4+1 program, and what that is in your 4th year you start taking some grad classes. So you take one in the fall semester, one in the spring, and then you take a few classes over the summer, followed by a full graduate load in the fall and in the spring, and when you're done, you have your master's degree within a 5-year period. All right, that eliminates a full year before you get your graduate level degree. So that's just something to keep in mind as a real bonus of coming here. One of the things that you should think about is not only what job you want to get when you're done, but what do you want to look forward to for your career and how quickly you want to promote. Right? Because we know that master's degrees will help you promote much faster in the criminal justice system. All right, legal studies is known as a double major, and what that is, you need to take a major partnered with legal studies in the arts and sciences. So anything that, again, as some examples here, history, languages. Typically, a lot of people will look at Spanish. We also have plenty of people, our students, that are going to double this up with writing. See a lot of students who are double majored with psychology and then philosophy, because you get into that logic world. The reason why we do this is to make the students much more marketable, because there's a little hint for law school. They don't care what major you're in. You could be a history, a business, writing major, basket weaving if we offered it here, but we don't. So what they're interested in is your GPA, your LSAT score, which is the law school admissions test, similar to the ACT or SAT, and then they are worried about your letters of recommendation. The one thing they do like to see is not only depth in a subject, but also some breadth of knowledge. And that, having those two things as a concern, a double major makes you a little more marketable to these to these law school programs. So the courses that these double majors need to take in legal studies, you can see there's far fewer of these. They have these classes right here. These require classes plus an additional 3 electives, and that's where they need to get to for that major. But again, these classes right here in terms of understanding the R system, constitutional law, criminal and civil procedure, so you understand the 2 different courts, the methodology that goes along with them, and then an ethics class, which we hope everybody has some after they leave our university. But then there's some of those electives that I showed you in the CJ, but there's also some that are very specific to the legal studies classes. Another program that we offer through Justice Studies is a 3+3 program through our legal studies major. What these students do, again, is it's a reduction of 1 year of study. So what you're going to do is you're going to be on an accelerated program, and in 6 years you will obtain your undergraduate degree and your law degree. All right, so within a 6-year period, rather than a 7-year period, you will be able to get those 2. It's not, this is a program that's not made for individuals who maybe, like myself, got to the university and spent the first semester or 2 trying to find fun and ended up with a 2.0. These students have to hit the ground running. All right. So without a doubt, the university will tell us that from the law school that their 3+3 program students are the best students in their program. So these students have their nose to the grindstone and they work hard and they are very bright and they get through there. And we see several of them have graduated in the recent years and they're doing fantastic out there. But again, it's just another way for you to get an advanced degree in a little bit quicker time. For our forensic science majors, for those of you interested in that, we have two different tracks, biology and chemistry, and it really comes down to what do you think you're a little bit more interested in? Do you think you would rather analyze a more biological thing? So if you're looking at bodily fluids, blood splatters, that type, or evidence that's collected from a crime committed where there's drugs involved, or possibly the ballistics of a scene. All right, so those are the two different ideas. Both of these, and what we've set our program up for, both of these you'll see are set up so that you can leave here and be a true scientist. We are not one of those programs that is trying to bill itself as having a criminalistics major where they're not preparing you for lab work. All right, so if you are someone that wants to work in a lab, and as you can see, this is one of our students, this isn't a stock photo, this is one of our students who happens to be working on a master's degree at another university right now in forensic science. If that's something you want to do, then this is the program you want to be in. We have to get Hollywood out of your mind for those of you who might be interested in what they do on CSI Miami or Bones or some of those old shows like that. Unfortunately, that's just not real. The same person who discovers the body isn't the same person who collects the evidence and analyzes it in the lab or goes to court and hits the gavel up on the judge's chambers or anything like that. These are very distinctive separate jobs. This major is for those people who want to work in a lab. All right. So here you can see these are the required classes for those students in the biology track. If you're able to add them all up real quick, you'll see that there are 11 lab sciences here, which equates to 44 credits. So you will be spending time in those labs when you're here on campus with us. All right, and again, when you leave, you will be able to get jobs in a lab. That's what we're hoping to build, scientists. The same thing with the chemistry track. If you're interested in being on the chemistry side, rather than 11, you get a little bit of a break. You only have to take 10 lab sciences. All right, so only 40 credits of lab sciences. So again, it's another big load of sciences here that you will have to spend time in those labs analyzing all kinds of fun stuff. All right. Cybersecurity, all right, and networking, very different from computer science. All right, if you're interested in this or possibly computer science, just understand the difference between the two. Cybersecurity and networking is focusing on trying to prevent hacking and cyber attacks or any internal threats from people who work within a company, versus computer science is really looking at how to program and develop the language in software or working with the hardware of computers or cell phones. So this is much more of a macro level approach to try and keeping folks out of other people's networks or computers. All right, it is one of the majors that is very high demand. These folks don't, and the students, the only way to put it, they fly off the shelves when they have their degrees. All right. As I mentioned earlier, it looked like CJ had a lot of required classes. It's nothing compared to what our cybersecurity and networking folks have. These are all the required classes within that major. All right. As you can see down in the bottom right, here's the important part. It is National Security Administration's suggested curriculum for students. This is what they want to see them taking so that they are prepared for jobs with the federal level. Okay, so you'll see there is there's a little bit of coding that goes on, or language coding, C++ and Linux shell scripting. But there's also a lot of new stuff here. And this is, again, following the NSA and what they suggest for us to teach people. You'll notice that there's mobile device forensics and digital forensics. This is really one of the things that's taking off fast as a way to fight crime or to find justice. There's plenty of cases where individuals are able to help solve crimes by just using cell phones. All right. Probably one of the biggest things in terms of getting through a class that makes you marketable for our cyber students is getting into that penetration testing class. This is where the students learn how to test the fortitude of a network and figure out where the weaknesses are, and then how to repair those weaknesses within the network. And it seems to be one of those things. Most of our students take it their junior year. After they get through it, they become very marketable. We have students that are doing internships, and just so you know, this is the one area where they get paid for their internships. And the companies really want to keep them around after they complete that. So this is one of the fields of the future. All right, so what makes justice studies so special at Roger Williams, all right, in terms of being unique? If you look around the country at universities, you will notice that within those universities, they are divided up into colleges or schools. And to find something like a college or school that is based around either criminal justice or, like, as we call it, justice studies, you have to go to a monster school to get that collection. So examples are Florida State, SUNY Albany, Sam Houston. You go to those places and they've got all excellent schools. They have very large colleges of criminal justice and criminology. If that's what you're looking for in that type of university, that's fantastic. If you want to go to a liberal arts school where we're kind of medium-sized and we still have small classes, then what you're going to find is we are extremely unique. If you look around the country, there are plenty of schools, liberal arts schools, that offer criminal justice as a major, or they have pre-law or legal studies, or they might have cybersecurity tucked into criminal justice, or they might have some type of forensic science program. The thing that makes us unique is that we have all of those together in one place. And as a result, it really boosts our reputation throughout the country and even throughout the world. We are ranked in the top 6% for criminal justice, and it's one of those things. We are one of the top schools in liberal arts when it comes to these disciplines. So what makes us special are these faculty that we have. We have I can tell you that, again, you look around at other criminal justice programs throughout the country, many of them are tucked into either social work or sociology or psychology departments, and they only have 1 or 2 CJ faculty members. We have a whole collection of them that are devoted to this, and some of them are renowned scholars for their area. Professor Melissa Rossano she's known worldwide for her work on oh boy, what is it, Dave? What does she do?
She does research on interrogations.
Interrogation, that's right. Yeah, interrogations. I have to have a brain fart at least every one of these. But yeah, she's world renowned for this, and she has grants. She's conducting research on interrogation. She has students, current Roger students that are undergrads, that are working with her on those grants and conducting research with her. One of the undergrad students went with her recently to a national conference to present findings from this research, and I'm sure they will be getting it published very soon, because that's a type of thing she does. The other thing that we're very strong with at Roger Williams in terms of this, these justice studies fields is this networking. All right. As one of the things that Dean Lambert's going to talk to you all about is our internships, and he's also going to talk to you about what he is the director of, the Justice System Training and Research Institute. It provides a lot of opportunity for networking, as does, as I mentioned before, us having the law school in the state. All right, so these folks throughout the criminal justice system, whether they're practitioners in law enforcement or somewhere in the courts or corrections, they know us, and all throughout New England and the Northeast, they know us and they recognize us. So some opportunities here that you might want to know about that continue to make us very special is we have what are called living learning communities at Roger Williams. Many schools have these, but we have one that's specific to criminal justice. All right, because criminal justice is one of the larger majors on campus, we have one of these where the students live together in the dorms. They take a couple classes together. That way they can form study groups, they get to know each other. If you go to one of our criminal justice sessions, specific sessions, you will hear from a couple of the students that were in this as freshmen. They're now seniors, they still live together, they're both of them are trying to find jobs at the same time right now. So you'll see that they, it is something that's a very unique opportunity, is wonderful for our students. Next is the John Jay Society, and this is the Justice Studies Student Association. So any of our majors within the discipline can join it. In fact, if you just happen to have an interest in any of our fields, you can join it. It's not, you don't have to be one of our majors to be in it. But this is something where I encourage, no matter what your major is, get involved in, in the student group that's related to that major. The reason why it's a resume builder. When I got my job at the prison, the warden was just blown away that I was vice president of the criminology club at my university, and we didn't do anything real. This group actually does something throughout the semester. They do some things that really benefit the students. So one of them is a networking night where they bring in a bunch of agencies this past fall, along with the career development office. They had over 70 different agencies on campus where students could walk around, find out what kind of jobs they offer at the entry level, what those agencies are looking for, what they're not looking for. It's a really good opportunity for them to see it. And again, the society helps them do that. They have other little events. They do some volunteer work. It's just a really good thing to be a part of. We have mock trial for anybody interested in law school. You do not have to be a legal studies major to be on it. But if you're interested in law school at all, it's a great opportunity for you to figure out what it's like to really run in a trial. There's all kinds of different positions for it. Ours this past year was in 2 different tournaments, and at one of them we had the attorney of the tournament. Last year we had an individual at 3 different tournaments. He won attorney of the tournament. He's now in law school as a first year. We also have a cybersecurity team. This year was their first year. They go to different events. They ended up going to regionals this year, where what they did is they had to establish a network and secure it. And then they had people hack into it or attempt to hack into it. Our team finished high enough that they were going to travel to nationals, but just like the rest of us, they're all social distancing, so they can't go. In addition to that, if any of you are interested in esports at all, some gaming, we have a Roger Williams esports team that's in its 2nd year, and that's obviously something fun for anybody. We see a lot of our computer science and our cyber students going in that direction. The next thing that I'm lucky enough to have is a little pot of money to bring in folks as guest speakers. And so we have a distinguished speaker series, and we bring in people from all around the world for this thing. Recently, we've had investigators, the 2 lead investigators for the Boston City Marathon bombing, come and talk about their experiences in the case. We had one of the lead investigator for, as parents might remember, the James Byrd dragging death out of Jasper, Texas. The head of the guy who led that was in the FBI at the time, and he did such a good job. The Attorney General, Janet Reno, gave him an accommodation for that. And we've had other people that come in, and the good thing about this is they don't just come in for a talk and then leave. They tend to stick around. They go to our classes. They talk to students about, okay, if you're interested in this career, here's how you want to go and want to get through this. So it's a really good opportunity for them to be exposed to some of these individuals. All right, I'm going to stop chatting for a second and let Assistant Dean Lambert talk about the Justice System Training and Research Institute, since he's the one who runs that show.
Thank you, Dean Bronson. Good afternoon, evening, whatever it is. So just a little bit about the Justice System Training and Research Institute. Roger Williams houses this institute, which provides professional development for criminal justice and public safety professionals across New England. We work in collaboration with the New England Association of Chiefs of Police, and we run a number of different training and professional development programs. For instance, we run the New England Chiefs Command Series program. We have several programs during the year for training first-line supervisors, mid-management people in police and corrections agencies, as well as a class for executive development where we are trying to develop the future leaders in criminal justice. Along those other courses, we have courses like the Field Training Officer program. We help departments set up their field training programs, and we also have a coordinators program that goes along with that. So by doing those different programs, we've been able to put on about 30 different programs over the last calendar year, and brought over 1,200 professionals on campus to do that training. So we're very proud of being able to train practitioners. Some of the people that are in the field today, many of them who are undergraduate alumni, are coming back through the programs. A number of the other things we do in terms of what is beneficial for you coming onto campus is we have the opportunities for, number one, undergraduate research. If you wanted to do a program and you wanted to do some research with some of these police agencies or with our staff, you have the opportunity to do that. We do have a work study program as well. We have students who come in 4 or 5 on a semester who work under our federal work study program and help us support these different trainings. So they come in on a routine basis, help us set up the programs, put together the materials, do registrations for us, support those classes while they're ongoing. And they also have the opportunity to network with the different criminal justice agencies that come through our training. So it's a real opportunity for students to reach out and develop possible internships, training opportunities, other types of research opportunities. And that's something that we're very proud of. We also have some technical assistance programs that may also benefit students. For instance, right now we're working with the Rhode Island Department of Corrections on a reentry program. We're just finishing that up, and we have a student who was working on that program as well. She was actually getting some paid hours to work on that. We were developing a sequential intercept modeling program to look at reentry intake points. In addition to that, we have several other programs. One of the things we just finished last week was we did a facilitated discussion using video conferencing to coordinate 60 different police department, 60 different police professionals from 35 different police departments to discuss planning for this pandemic. This is obviously a dynamic situation. Many departments didn't necessarily have a continuity of operations plan in place, so we help them share best practices, develop new policies on how to deal with day-to-day things like the fact that they're now unable to fully staff their organizations as they're starting to see sick leave build up. So we're trying to help them with developing different scheduling mechanisms, alternative responses to different calls. So a lot of departments are moving towards online and over the phone crime reporting for less serious crimes so that they can free up their offices for the really important things, and also to keep some level of social distance for first responders. So we were able to put that together and work with our instructor partners as well as our different agencies that we deal with on a regular basis. Again, there's all kinds of opportunities in those types of efforts for students down the road. So, and we're also trying to build, as a result of that, a law enforcement resources page to assist some of these different agencies and how they develop plans for moving forward with the pandemic as it extends into next month. So we think there's a lot of opportunities for student interaction with regard to our institute, and we hope that you'll consider it and you'll come, once we get back on campus, you'll come visit when you're here. Eric, do you want me to talk about internships a little bit?
Yeah, why don't you talk a little bit about the internships? Yeah.
Sure. We also have an internship program. Experiential education for our school is very important. In justice studies, we have an optional internship for criminal justice majors. For cyber and legal studies, it's a mandated internship. So it's really important that we get people out into the workforce so they can see and apply what they've learned in class in the real world. Our program typically is a semester-long program. We do a program in the fall, the spring, and summer. And what we typically do is, for a 3-credit course, it's 120 hours of field work, plus an additional 15 hours of some type of classroom or online work to support the field work. So we typically have those programs across different venues. Some of the internships we've had in the past are in legal studies. We've had students work down at the Rhode Island Family Court working in the mediation section. They've been able to sit in on court cases. We've had a number of different law offices hire interns in the Providence area. In the cyber realm, we've had people work for the U.S. Navy, for Raytheon, for FM Global, a large commercial insurance company that does a lot of cyber work, Cumberland Farms and their information technology section, the Massachusetts State Police, the Rhode Island State Police. So we have a variety of different internships that we hope people take advantage of once they get past their initial years on campus. But basically, we feel, again, that the internship program is an integral part of getting people on the right track and letting them sort out what they really want to do for a career.
All right, great, thank you. A couple other little things real quick, and then we'll open it up to questions. No matter what your major is, I really encourage you, if you have the ability to, look into study abroad opportunities. These are wonderful. They really seem to change students' lives. If you can get involved in them, we have a couple different ways. You can do a full semester where it's pre-arranged. We have one with a university in Prague for our cybersecurity students. We have another one in London for our criminal justice students. When I say these are pre-arranged, what that means is we know the classes that they're offering there, what exactly they're going to transfer into our university in terms of the credits that they will be credited towards. The other thing is, if students want to look to other universities or other parts of the world, great. Look into those. We will focus on the university that you pick. We'll work with you on figuring out what the classes you might take and what they would transfer in as. All right. The other thing that's available are short-term classes. Those are faculty-led from Roger Williams University faculty, and you go to a specific area of the world, spend 2 to 3 weeks there, and then come on back. We had a group of students and a couple faculty who were taking criminal justice majors and history majors to the UK this May, but obviously that's no longer happening. But they were going to go and study the history of the criminal justice system throughout England, Wales, and Scotland. All right, but that's something that's very common in the summer or even in the winter breaks. So you can look for something in the winter break that goes to the Southern Hemisphere and, hey, it's summer again. All right, but those are always available throughout the summers and winters. The other thing is a class that I actually led that's available in the spring semester. I offered students, it's a Dead Man Walking class. So for those of you who know the book, Dead Man Walking, or the movie, you might remember Susan Sarandon and Sean Penn were in the movie. This is about Sister Helen Prigine, who ministered to inmates on death row in Louisiana. Well, we studied the death penalty and read her books, and then went down to Louisiana and went to the Louisiana State Penitentiary and saw death row and the death chamber, and went to New Orleans and did some cooking classes, a good opportunity for them to get some culture. And then we, the big highlight was we actually got to meet with Sister Helen and talk with her for a couple hours about her experiences and about what she sees as the trends moving forward in terms of the death penalty in the South. So again, it's just another way for the students to get kind of a study away up, opportunity for themselves to look at another culture. Here's a list of our faculty. As you'll notice, they're fully credentialed, and most of them have either a PhD or a JD, so that they are they have the terminal degree within their field, so they are considered experts. Just so that you know, at Roger Williams, all of our faculty, full-time faculty, have terminal degrees. We also have adjunct faculty that have an advanced degree, but we have them teach a class or two each semester based on relating to their work experience. So for instance, we have a former chief of police who has a law degree and who teaches for us a class on policing. Obviously, he doesn't need a PhD to be an expert on policing, as he's done it for a while. So that's all of our professors, either they have that advanced degree or terminal degree, or they're working in the field and have an advanced degree. Just so you know, none of our classes at Roger Williams are taught by graduate assistants. All right, they are all credentialed, either with the degree or some experience. If you're looking for some specific program-specific sessions, so you can get some more within each discipline, you'll see our next one coming up is April 8th. For criminal justice at 5. That's true for cyber security and networking and legal studies as well. The forensics folks, for those of you who might be kind of up in the air about CJ or forensics, the 8th is your opportunity to hear both. So at 5 o'clock is CJ, and at 7 o'clock is forensic science. All right. So with that being said, what questions do you all have?
Feel free to enter them in the chat or unmute yourself and ask whatever's easier for you.
Just so you know, in these pictures here, this is one of our students working with Professor Julie Kuhn here. They worked on some, there we go. They worked on some research together and went to the Academy of Criminal Justice Sciences and presented their research. And down here are some of my students at the Louisiana State Penitentiary. This was the original electrocution chair, and they have so many people die there because it's such a large prison. They have the inmates make their own coffins for the inmates when they die. This is our nice, wonderful bridge, Mount Hope Bridge that leads to Bristol. So just a little bit so you can see that, these pictures, again, they're not stock pictures. These are all from our folks.
So one question that just came up in the chat, do CJ majors need to take a language placement test, or is that only for students who are considering taking a language at Roger?
So they do not need to take a language placement unless they are going to either do a core concentration or a minor in that language. It is something that probably, if you take a language, is one of the tools that will make you extremely marketable. So if you have a background in a language, that I would really encourage you to stick with it and possibly do it as a core concentration or a minor. There are plenty of our students who are CJ majors and have as a core concentration or a minor or even a double major Spanish to go along with it.
Someone asked, as a cybersecurity student, can you take forensic science classes as electives? Can you talk about that specifically, but also just how classes in your school all work together and the opportunities with that?
So for the cyber students, they just, as you could see that list there, they are pretty much what we call lockstep. And they're in their program they have very little freedom and very little room for electives. So as a result, as you notice, the core concentration has to be something that is within the College of Arts and Sciences. So you cannot do forensic science as a core concentration. However, you can do it as a minor. So if you really want a heavy workload, and trust me, it would be, because you would not only have all of those cybersecurity classes, but you would also have the labs that go along with the forensic science. Again, they would be heavily based in the sciences. You can do that. What we often see are students who will do, who are interested in something in those sciences, possibly doing biology or chemistry as a core concentration, because it's one less class.
Anyone else have any questions? Again, feel free to either unmute yourself or ask in the chat. So someone just asked, they were asking about work study earlier today and legal study session. They told us that we may be able to work in office that go with their majors. Are there specific ones within your school where work study could be a good opportunity? And then there's another follow-up question I'll answer, but I'll let you answer that piece first.
Sure. So we have work study in our School of Justice Studies office, and we probably have anywhere from 8 to 10 different students who do that every semester. And then Dean Lambert over at the Justice System Training and Research Institute has probably, what do you have, about 5 or 6 students that work for you each semester?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, there are plenty of students. It really comes down, do you qualify for work study? If you do, we encourage our students, the ones that we hire, we keep them within justice studies so that we're helping out our own, and maybe it helps them make better connections and network with the folks that we have around our offices.
What would you advise freshmen begin looking at those jobs / applying for them? I know traditionally in university, it's middle of August at the earliest, usually short before move-in. I wasn't sure if there's any specific timelines for your students.
Yeah, so for at least for us in the Justice Studies suite, as soon as you get on campus in August, yeah, start looking then. You can always, if you know you're accepted and you're coming to Roger Williams, I would encourage you to email me, and we can throw your name in the hopper for next fall. And Dean Lambert, when can they start applying for you?
Yeah, we start at the beginning of the semester. We go through just a short interview process with the students just to make sure they understand what our requirements are in terms of being able, the hours they have to work and the types of work that we do. We just want to make sure it's a good fit. So we start that really as soon as the semester starts.
Another question came through the chat. As a forensic science student, what would be some steps to take to become a crime scene investigator? Are there any suggested courses?
So for being a crime scene investigator, so that's one of our most common, desired spots for folks. Here's the thing, for those people who really if you want to be on the crime scene, you probably want to do criminal justice rather than forensic science. And here's the reason why. Again, remember what I said, those forensic science students are going to be the ones in the lab, all right? The CJ students are the ones that are going to go to the crime scene, and here's this, I'm not going to lie to any of you and tell you that, oh yeah, you can do investigations in the crime scene immediately. If that's something you want to do, you're going to have to be part of a police department for a while, put in some time, and then get trained by those police departments on how to do investigations. There's so many little things that you need those years on the crime scenes to be able to recognize, and it's a specialized position. And if that's what you really want to do, you need to look more towards criminal justice. Now, we do have students who are trying to combine those two with CJ and forensics. and you do end up being prepared to go with that route, but you will have to put in time on the police force first.
Another question that came through: what classes do you miss out on in order to do the 3-in-3 program?
So for those students that are getting out of that 1 year, and what ends up happening is you are dropping some of those senior, so like the senior core seminar, some of those electives that you might have as a senior. So you will have, for those in the 3+3 program, you will have less freedom than what a legal studies major would have normally, because those electives that you would have are now going towards, are being taken up in your program by law classes, because that first year of law school is going to count towards both.
Another question that came through the chat is: someone has the ambition of getting their graduate degree in forensic science. Would they have to go through additional training, like going to a police academy to work at a police department?
So if you want to get an advanced degree in forensic science, there are plenty of different programs throughout the country that have different ones. So one of our students, I showed the one student there, she's at the University of New Haven in their forensic science program. We also have one of our students, she was on with the forensic science program earlier today, talking about her experience as a student who's about to finish up her master's at Boston University's biomedical forensics program. So she is actually in the med school there and working on her forensics program. What her long-term goals are is to eventually work with a medical examiner or for the crime lab. The key for both of these students is both of them worked their internships at crime labs for the state of Massachusetts, which we have a long history with. So many of our students who are in the forensics program end up going to work there as a stepping stone for them to either go to grad school or them to go out and work in the real world. One of our students last spring got hired on as a forensic scientist with NYPD. So she talks about being in the basement of one of their precincts, and that's where their lab is, but she's loving every second of it.
I know this program doesn't exist within your school, but in terms of forensic psychology, do you know what people with that terminal degree can do in terms of working with police?
Sure. So our forensic psychologists, we have a ton of students doing that right now. We probably have about, I don't know, if we look at our whole criminal justice program, which is one of the largest programs on campus, probably about 30 of our majors are double majored with psychology. And what their goal is to get the psych and criminal justice undergrad and then go forensic psychology for their master's degree, which they can do at Roger Williams University in the psychology department. So from there, then they go out and look for jobs, and here's the thing, there might not be a whole lot of those at individual police departments, but there are police departments who that they will contract with. But we see several of these students going to work at the federal level, specifically at the Department of Corrections. All right, so that is an option for individuals as well, is to look and think about the federal level as an option.
How early should I look for an internship was the next question.
Well, the internship has a lot to do with the connections you have and the connections that we have. If you happen to be at a place where you have a family member that works in an department and can help you get on right away, that's a great first step. We have plenty of students who have done multiple internships in different level departments, whether it's a local or state or a federal agency. They want to try and get as much experience on the job, not only to build up their resume, but to find out if that's really what they want to do. You know, there are plenty of students who say, "Oh, I want to be at a big city police department," and then they get on with them and they find out that that's not what they want to do. Maybe they want to be at a smaller department, or maybe they want to work for, Mass State Police or Rhode Island State Police, whatever it might be. The more experiences they get as an undergrad, the better they're going to be. So we've had students do internships in between their freshman and sophomore year. Generally, they wait till junior or senior year, but we have seen a few that get after these very early.
Any other questions? Feel free to ask in the chat or unmute yourself. I think we've had a lot of really great ones.
Nobody asked about the food.
Wow. Yeah, they can't.
I'm an alum. I've been eating here for 10 years. The food's absolutely incredible. I love it. Going back to what Dean Bronson said earlier, I also studied abroad twice, and that was a really great opportunity for me. I had 3 internships. Like, there's so many different opportunities here at the entire University of Boston School of Justice Studies that you should all take advantage of, for sure.
Yeah, anything like that, the more you can do with that kind of stuff, the better off you're going to be in terms of your resume, just in terms. I have yet to go on one of these study abroad trips or the study aways where the students they always say, this changed my life. And they can look back on it later on and say that was a turning point. It's unbelievable how much that does when you go someplace and you really learn about a new culture in an intimate way. So I really encourage that.
I think that's it for questions, unless anyone wants to ask a last minute one, but thank you all for coming. Really appreciate your time that you spent with us. Lee Bronson, you can go back one more slide to show the presentations for your major schools.
Sure.
So if anyone wants to see those times again.
So the next one is on April 8th. Overwhelmingly, they're at 5 o'clock, except the forensic science one's at 7. And then next weekend on the 11th at 11 a.m. for all of them.
Right. We had one last question come in.
Sure.
For 3 and 3, are you able to study abroad? And since you're doing it with legal studies require a second major, do you still double major?
Yes. Yeah, you can do both, and yeah, you still have the double major. And again, the reason why is it helps make you marketable for schools, even marketable for Roger Williams, because even though you're part of the 3+3, you still have to prove that you have a particular GPA and LSAT score. All right, so all of that, they all feed into it. So, but yes, you can study abroad for a semester, or if you want to do one of the short-term ones, that again, you're in an intensive program for that 3+3. So if you can do some classes over the summer, that's just going to give you a little bit more breathing room during a normal semester.
Lambert, you want to share?
Any other questions?
I think I froze up there, so.
No worries. I think that answered all questions. So I don't know if you have any last words of advice you want.
Yeah, just if you guys have any questions at all, don't feel free to email or call. Admissions sends you guys our information. Please feel free to contact them or to contact us. That's what we're here for. So let us know how we can help you.
Thank you all for coming. Really appreciate it. I hope you have a great night. And again, join us for the next session if you want any more info.
Thank you all. Take care. Oh, did another one just pop up or no?
That was just me.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Sam. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks.